And can you see at 1184? And Your Honours, I'm looking at lines 2631 to 2636, and I'll read it. You asked by the prosecution investigator, quote, the two with their heads removed, what ethnicity were they? Your answer at 2634, and I quote, is one Kalenjin, and at 2636 you say, and one Lua, end quote. Now, does that help refresh your memory about what you saw in 2000 and the 1st of January 2008?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you will confirm, won't you, that at the time you saw that, you were with person number 29. Do you have the prosecution PIS form in front of you, witness?
I didn't say you were with somebody.
Perhaps, is there a PIS form with the witness?
But I didn't say I was in, I can't remember. I say I was with anybody.
Mr. President, I wonder, with the prosecution's assistance, if the witness could be given a copy of their PIS form, so I don't have to reveal things in public.
Indeed.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And if the other documents can be taken away from the witness, please, so you can just stay focused. I'm grateful. Thank you so much. Witness, if you could be so kind to look at page 3, and we're in public. Just look at the name at number 29. Thank you. Can you see that name at number 29?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were with that person, weren't you, when you saw those two heads?
No.
And you told the prosecution that after those beheadings, you saw members of the Lua community who had been attacked come out holding white handkerchiefs.
Yes, Your Honor.
They were calling for peace, were they not?
They were calling for peace.
They were calling for reconciliation with the Kikuyus, members of the Kikuyu community. Is that right?
That was it. That's what I said.
Yes. And all of this was after you say you have seen a Kikuyu lady give birth to a child who is then executed in front of you. Isn't that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you told the prosecution, do you recall, that you had never seen anything like this before in your life?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that can I ask, witness, it was quite a vivid thing you saw, wasn't it? It was quite a traumatic thing that one saw on that day, on the 1st of January, seeing these two heads on stakes in the ground.
Yes, Your Honor.
And they were put in the ground to scare people, is that right? Is that what you thought? It was put in the ground to scare people?
It was, Your Honor.
Can I ask, when the President invited the legal representative of the victims to ask you questions about any suffering faced by members of other communities, why didn't you mention this very terrible incident?
He was specifically mentioning, if I can quote, that Kalenjin who were killed accidentally by the same community. That's what I remember him saying that. I remember saying that, Your Honor. I wanted to explain that further. He was saying no community. He was specifying that, if I can still remember.
And these individuals these two victims, the Lua and the Kalenjin person beheaded, they were killed by Kikuyus, is that right?
That is according to what the locality, the area. I can confirm maybe it was Kikuyus.
Yes, and that's what you told the prosecution, that you thought and heard that they were Kikuyus who had committed the killings and beheadings, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when you were in Langas, you would have heard about the shootings by Mr. Gennaro Mwangi killing, he was a Kikuyu. You would have heard about that.
I'd later, but I don't confirm.
You heard that Gennaro Mwangi was the police OCS?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's officer commanding the station, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that he had been gunning down members of the Kikuyu Kalenjin community and members of the Lua community on site. You heard about that?
Yes, I had that allegations.
In fact, no doubt you would have heard, because it's big news, he killed, it said, about 20 Kalenjin and Luas, personally.
Yes, I had that complaint, but I didn't confirm.
And you also heard about the killing of about 14 to 15 youths in Matunda.
That one was in public domain.
In the public domain. And these were members killed, citizens killed by members of the Kikuyu community, is that right?
No. According to what I heard, it was police who came down at a place called Matunda.
In fact, is it right that you heard that GSU officers were present when these Kikuyu youths committed those killings and the police officers did nothing?
What I can confirm is that, Your Honor, what I say that is the police who came down the group, which were in large numbers. Otherwise, according to other reports, they could say they could have killed a lot of Kikuyus in hundreds the same day.
The throats of these victims had been slit, hadn't they?
I cannot confirm how were it killed.
Mr. President, I'd seek to play a video. It's Ken D09-0028-0124. The transcript, Mr. President, Your Honour, is at the Defence second binder at tab 104. If that could be played, please. Mr. President, it's a 4-minute video, and I think all of it perhaps can be played. It may be quickest in the end.
Pas kemasis. Pas sabi kisenge. Wale ato tikana yat. Kulo jamai. Hali kan dia ini ke tiba kai subuh. Hali kisi. Asike ai ni kapsa. Ko ran ko lul ko. Ko anisa sanguna ngeling tele tege tahun. Kayak ka tu la mo agela pata ko porto ko tahun. Musa ma ko tiba kai so ke mo family to bulis kele kisi. Ko sir so ko. Mawa. Ko ta ko wa nyu ni. Ta ku ni ji ni si. Hali sih ngomaro tueri, asal nasi ni sih gak nyor senge, anak manyo, pas, kita di buku ni game boy, hali sih guys kalian ni, pas, pamangsa, pas, pakai lighting ya ni mat, ini kita matu dah uling, yang ni baru, hali tiga sih, pas tapi tiga di itu sih, kira gua pergi ke yang matu dah, pas, al batang udah sering begini tuh apa ni minta ini bayar bi. Wali itu hari kesu, pergi ulang ni sangin sih, minta kaya minta kejanan tanya. Kubur tu aku le aja magi roh, minta bicara apa? Kita na ini kita kacir. Pas, kita na tanya ni bahag tira minta ju. Pas, serbu sih, kau agak parnoto. Pas, kesi gula kan salah apa mau ni asal kacir dia sih ko. asoro take kibun karit asoro ge ba sini to yo si kuma ane det ayo tip kurus mita kita bare nya wah kota ko din kitale mo cari mama ke chicken nyaba cari ke sangin mita bijo na pas kule jo une sip na ni net porta ni gulyo wale ki ti ku ye lagi mo re ki am ko te kule yan ma nyusre mo re ko ya kule pas kule jo ngwa re yo ba mangale ba ko me mo ke barka sa
Ponyor.
Bas, magdikit si metanyo. Magda, magun kareta kan kipset, kutar de kipset, botakan. Bas, ke bago tale. Bas, ti bar ye porta. Gue gede gade. Ada kato singo tu nyama.
Absa ko etil.
Kalau mama tak kuat kalau lagi dia. Anyway, mungkin nanti nih kita cuma kapisa. Itu artinya yang bahasa itu kan? Jangan nanti itu aku andanya. Lagu tak enggak. Tak sungguh no. Kerwa tak gele, mamuta jangan salah ini oh. Pas kena negara tak susah. Boru kata. Mu. Ni apa je bela ni? Ni tak apa kasih ni tak ini. Ni tak turun ini dek. Ni apa kapti roh? Pas. Kimu tu tu kau. Mana gitu sana ni mana? Pas. Okey, sih tanya saya sih kan kau. Musa babu. Pilih tu tu kau. Aksen gaya tu kau. Ni kau mau kau je. As. Kita kan okey sih kan tu gaya sih. Tu tak fanya ni. Musim mau tinggal begal kami itu begal kayak gitu. Aku rumit orang tak gitu. Kerana tu bisa ulah tu boleh. Panas. Mana sih kan ni porto. Karena sih kan ni porto sih weh. Kugiatnya sih lagi tu nanti ni nggak tahu loh. Dia sama memang aku tu masih kan. Ni tu macam ni. Pas orang ni kerja nak kaya apa? Pas karena aku suka tiga orang Pas kugi sih dah. Pas kulakuan ni kugiat tiga mana hingga kan sah. Jirari aku ni tu ni. Lupa sih dah. Pas mau pernah lakukan yang mana tu mau. Pas mana ke sih ni tu yo. Aku ni gua tu ni begini weh. Kau terkira kau yang gini tu ya. Ya mama aku. Nak kerja aku. Saya cerita nak ketemu nak gurka cerita yang guna. Kau ni ke? Nah mama. Ini mau pamai tak apa?
Mai mujing munai bayi goi nabi bayi.
Ya, arah bayi tu ya. Mau mujing sih ni tu nanti mana kaya tu. Arah sih apa itu anu goi ni arah bayi kan ane. Mujur ni lepas guna sih arah bayi tu ini.
Cerita ni kau tahu tu lah mak.
Mau ni?
Witness, you saw that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. President, I'm going to read the transcript, Ken D09 0043-0557 into the record. And witness, you have it. We'll give you a copy, and if you could go through it in the way to which you've become accustomed. If you see anything I read that does not properly reflect what you have heard said on that video, please don't hesitate to let the court know. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. If we could please have the assistance of the court officer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And witness, if you can turn the page, please, to page 2. And at the top, line 2, it's written, and I quote, background, place of recording, Kipsomba Ward, Eldoret North. Speaker 1, quote, Joseph Kiptanui Koske. He went to school until I went to seek admission for him in Kaptanuni, some distance away. That's KAPNG''ETUNY. Okay, here are the papers. How come he has not returned? What is going on? Bus, I waited bus. I called his aunt, asking Did the young man get there? She told me he did not arrive. End quote. It continues at line 19, and I quote, I wondered what had happened. We waited till morning. Then I said, now what shall we do really? With Grandma having just passed on, and then now we want to go to town, but we'd already rushed Grandma's dead body to town so that she could not stay at home. The whole family ought to be informed that Grandma had passed on. Witness, you've seen that so far, have you?
Yes.
All of that's a correct translation.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And at line 31, Speaker 1 continues, and I quote, so he went. After he had gone in the evening, he failed to return, so that we could learn if he had met with aunt or not. So we waited. When night came, I asked myself what might have happened. I stepped outside. Then I saw lightning, or rather fire, in the region of Matunda, burning, Kweep, K-W-E-E-P. Then, as we were waiting, news reached us that some people had been murdered in Matunda. I rushed to find a policeman located in the lower side, close here, an AP policeman. You've seen that?
Yes, Your Honor.
AP policeman is an administrative police officer, is that right? Administration police.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Kweep, K-W-E-E-P, does that have any meaning? On page 0558?
Yeah.
On page 2, it says that I saw lightning, or rather fire, in the region of Matunda, burning, Kweep, K-W-E-E-P. Is that just an expression, or it has any meaning?
You say, I saw?
Isn't that onomatopic, Mr.
Yes, Mr. President, I'm grateful. I'll go on. Witness at page 3, at line 43.
Line 43.
The Speaker 1 continues, and I quote, I told him, please assist us. Call there just in case the name, just in case my son is there. He called and responded, no, he was not seen. There are people who were killed and thrown on the bridge. The son to the Tirops, who live close here. A report reached us indicating that he had been killed. And at line 55, Speaker 1 continues, AAS, A-A-S. We kept silent. The area councillor said, it's okay, I will go and report to the Sirikwa station, AP police, so that they can give us a vehicle. Then they went. Then I myself did not go. I sent Kip Koros, K-I-P-K-O-R-O-S, my brother here. He went. And when he reached there, he asked me, what is his body shape like? I told him. And then in square brackets, he narrates how he described his son to the uncle. Some of the words he used in the description are not so clear. Close brackets. And then the transcript and translation continues. His fingers were not very straight. At line 64, Speaker 1, at 63, he breaks down and cries, and he says, and I quote, then he told me, my brother, things have turned out badly. He is indeed dead. He has been murdered, truly. End quote. Witness, so far that's a proper translation, isn't it?
It is.
And then over the page, please, at 0560, line 71, and I quote, Speaker 1 continues, so we made phone calls, we went, we used Kipseet's car, K-I-P-S-E-E-T apostrophe S. Kipseet's car, Kipseet and the councillors assisted us. We went all the way to Kitale where we were shown the body. The neck had been slit. The neck had been slit. He was slaughtered like an animal. End quote. Witness, that's correct, isn't it?
It's correct.
You heard him say that his son's neck had been slit.
Yes, Your Honor.
Continues at line 76. Really, it was cut like this. And then Speaker 3 at line 76. And Speaker 2 at line 78 says, condolences, old man, condolences. And then at 80, Speaker 4 Another gentleman on the video says, "That's enough, that's enough." And then beneath that at 683, line 83, Speaker 1 continues, and I quote, he mumbles and then cries, and then says, and I quote, "I had said I absolutely do not even want to remember anymore, but anyway, Soso, it is okay." And at 92, he continues, quote, "Because he was my son, whom I loved completely. He was helping me in all tasks, and he had recently gotten married and had one child. So now we ran about. We were being driven around by the councillor. Okay, we put them in Kipseed's car. How many bodies? 5. There was one from Chepla Chebei, Cheplachbei. There was one from Kosyin, Kosyin. There was a Turkana. There was one from the Tirop family. We brought all of them and offloaded them." Witness, that's a true translation, isn't it?
It is.
And Speaker 1 continues, if you go over the page, please, to 0561. At line 104, and it became a challenge to bury him. The reason being that it was very difficult for relatives and aunties to come, so we stayed. But eventually we decided to just bury him. What else could we do? Because it was no longer possible to obtain brackets, burial, close brackets, permits, or do anything. All offices were closed, so we buried him. And at line 110, the Speaker continues, and at 113 the translation is given, and I quote, "Now when we viewed the body, it was quite a dreadful day for me. Even," and then in square brackets it says the name is mentioned and it's unclear, close brackets, "knows as my mum had passed on, and I had not buried her. The body was in the mortuary, and here was the boy, murdered." 118, Speaker 4 interjects and says, quote, "This one killed while burial preparations for the other were going on." This one killed while burial preparations for the other were going on. And then Speaker 1 continues at line 123, and I quote, "In preparations to inter," I think it should be intern, to inter grandmother.
Inter is fine.
I'm grateful.
That's burial.
To
I-N-T-E-R.
Yes, to inter grandmother were going on. And this became a hurdle. And this child was one whom I relied on completely. When you see me cry like this, it is because it was such a crisis." And he continues at line 130. "And that essentially is how my child was murdered. We came and buried him right there. Indeed, if you want to go and see, you will find 2 graves there, my mum's and my son." A witness, you've seen all of that.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you heard about that incident.
I heard about many people killed in Matunda.
And you heard about the people in Langas being killed by Gennaro Mwangi, gunning people down in Langas. You heard about that.
Yes, I had that complaint.
And you saw beheadings, including the head of a Lua and a head of a Kalenjin individual.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And did you also hear about the killing of a young Kalenjin boy who was killed at a Total petrol station?
I cannot recall in how people were killed by then.
But just before the Kapsabet demonstration of the 3rd of January, did you hear at that demonstration people were very upset?
Yes, they were.
That a young Kalenjin boy had just been killed at the Total petrol station?
I heard about that, but yes, I didn't. Yeah.
And Lucas Sang, of course, you heard that he had been hacked down and his body burnt.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you heard that you knew he was a famous athlete.
Yes, Your Honor.
His body had been chopped to pieces and set on fire. You heard about that?
I heard that.
And he was actually very much a symbolic figure in the region, wasn't he? Because he was a very well-respected Olympian athlete, isn't that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the Kalenjins are well, Kenyans, but particularly Kalenjins, are very proud of their athletes. Is that right?
Sure.
He was a very well-known person in the community. Is that right?
I don't know what you are meaning now, because what I have in my testimony is different from what you are talking about.
Well, do you accept, Mr. Witness, under oath here, that he was a very well-known individual in the community, a prominent farmer?
That one you can say it in my testimony. I say he was somebody having those. Yeah, he was well known.
And he had particular status because he was a leading athlete.
That one I say it, but it's in my testimony. Just let me like that.
Yes. See, Witness, what I'm getting at is, under cross-examination, I've taken you to beheadings, to the killing of 20 or so civilians, Kalenjin members, by the OCS in Langas. You've heard the testimony of a family who have lost their son, whose throat has been slit. And you've given evidence also in the cross-examination regarding the killing of a young Kalenjin boy at a Total petrol station. Now, when you were asked on the 3rd of December 2014 at page 81, and I quote from line 15, the presiding judge said this, "Now the point," and I quote, "Now the point is whether there were Kalenjins who were attacked by persons who were not Kalenjins." And then Mr. Ruto says, "Thank you, Mr. President." And then the presiding judge makes it very clear what he wanted, what the chamber was interested in. At line 18, quote, Kalenjins attacked by non-Kalenjins. And then Mr. Ruto puts the question at line 20. Mr. Witness, will you tell us if you are aware of Kalenjins, persons from the Kalenjin community who were attacked by non-Kalenjins? And perhaps at the same time, if you could give evidence as to whether you're aware of persons who were supporters of the ODM who were attacked by either non-Kalenjins or non-Kalenjin supporters. Do you remember that? Non-ODM supporters. Do you remember that?
Maybe I didn't take it clear what I was saying. Yeah. I was answering the question from the victim lawyer who used very short time to ask me if I know somebody from the same Kalenjin community who was killed accidentally or by whatever, by the same group of Kalenjins. That's what then I could say, I don't know. And who was killed by the same Kalenjin.
Yes, and Witness, your answer at the bottom of page 81, at line 25, and I quote, "This is your answer, Witness. Your Honour, to follow that angle, I cannot remember, or if there is any, I hope there is, but I cannot confirm that," end quote. So, Witness, what I'm putting to you is, when you were given a very clear opportunity by the legal representative of the victims, and in your presence, the presiding judge had made it very, very, very clear what he was interested in. You were unwilling to recognize any deaths or suffering by members of the Kalenjin community, weren't you?
I am saying by here. I am very clear.
One second. Mr. Ken, the witness said that he had understood at that time that the subject of inquiry was a little different at the time. So can we give him now the opportunity to address that question?
Well, Mr. President, I've gone through it.
Right.
I can move on, give him the time.
You have, all right. Let's stay with your transcript, Mr. Ken.
Yes, please.
0560. Maybe you can assist with the inquiry, but I'll try. A witness at line 95. At line 95, the speaker, number one, speaking to the number of bodies. Says, quote, how many bodies? 5. There was one from Cheplelakbe. There was one from Kosiin. There was a Turkana. And there was one from the Tirop family, unquote. Do those references signify ethnicity? Do you know?
It refers, but the place which I was talking about, like Koshin, to where they are alleged killed, is about 15 kilometers, which means they must have been going somewhere to do something.
No, that's not
yes,
what I'm
the
asking.
place is okay. The place is okay.
But what I'm trying to get at, so we can understand what was going on at the time, to the extent that you can assist us, is whether these references to Cheplelakbe, so there was one from that place.
Yes.
Would that indicate the ethnicity of the person, the ethnicity of the...
Yes, the area is the name of that place.
And what ethnicity does that suggest to you?
This is the village called Cheplelakbe.
All right, when I say ethnicity, some people say tribe. I try not to use that word.
Kalenjin.
Kalenjin.
Yes, you are.
Oh, right. And the other one, Kosiin?
Koshin is also Kalenjin. It's a place.
And Turkana?
Turkana is a name of a Turkana, which is the person who was killed was a Turkana, I think so.
And do Turkanas and Kalenjins have ethnic affinity, as in relation, they ethnically related?
Not really, but they live in the same province, and also.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And Tirop, the Tirop family?
It's Kalenjin.
Thank you.
I'm most grateful, Mr. President, and perhaps we could go to private session now.
Private session.
Mr. President, I'd ask, once again, I'm a little bit dilatory, I apologise, just to exhibit the video and the transcript that we've seen. The transcript Ken D09-0043-0557.
Mr. Garcia?
Your Honor, I believe that initially when Mr. Khan was putting this to the witness, the video and the transcript, it was an exercise to refresh the witness's memory on certain events that would have occurred, but I don't think that succeeded. I'm not sure the witness did not confirm knowing about this particular incident, and it seems to me that basically it's testimonial evidence in the form of a video.
Wasn't the point to put on record that Kalenjins were killed? Was that the reason you brought the video in, Mr. Khan?
Indeed, Mr. President.
Still, Your Honor, it still remains testimonial evidence in the form of a video. This is the main issue. And obviously there are dangers in putting in untested testimonial evidence in the court record. In regards to this video, I understand that it's simply a father telling the narrative of the death of his child, but notwithstanding that, the principle still is that testimonial evidence must be tested before it goes in the court record.
Ms. Bausman?
Sorry, we have no objection.
Witness, I ask you again, from your appreciation of the events at the time, from what you knew at the time, were Kalenjins also killed, or do you know that?
I heard about this story of Kapsambeyuet area, about many youths were killed, which youths really were the same group of people who were going to kill people at a certain shopping center called Matunda, but they were catch up in that place. But the community themselves who were killed Kalenjin. I can confirm that.
The video and the transcript are admitted as the next in the Ruto defense exhibits.
I'm most grateful.
The public video KEN D09 0028 0124 will bear the number EVD T D09 00306. The related transcripts KEN D09 0043 0557 will bear the number EVD T D09 00307. This document is also public.
I'm most grateful. And Mr. President, with your consent, perhaps we could go into private session.
For how long?
Mr. President, there may be, for much of this session, in fact, maybe, in fact, yeah, I'm guided by Dr. Shamla. Perhaps I can do it maybe 5 minutes, and then I can come into public for a moment.
Private session.
I've put to you a document.
We're in open session, Mr. President.
Thank you.